Alright, in this video I want to show you my level 60 cache here, and been having some fun with this. You might like it. I'll show you my skill tree and specialization and the gear, and I just got to level 60 and I'm going to try it out and show you how it works. It's I'm going to call it something like a card Jinx cache or something like that. And yeah, let's just quickly go over this. Now, the weapons I got, I don't really use them except for one. My stuff is still not even level 60. Um, but yeah, I got this here because it's got a good rate of fire. Jacob ricochets a bunch of stickies everywhere. It doesn't do very good with this build, but it's still a weapon that's usable. Of course, the bod is good with just basically everyone and everything. Uh, Here I got uh, the dataless secondary fire SMG ammo, so it really fast with the stickies. Uh, Shalalaska, or however you say that. I've been messing around with this one. This one is not bad when you get all the stacks up and you're shooting with it, and it shoots pretty fast. We only have 4 rounds, so you get a lot of reloading, and that's why I'm using this. I could use a hot shot or just whatever empties its mag real fast and reloads fast. So you can just be like bang, reload, bang, reload, bang, reload, because that's how you get your stacks of fortune. And the more stacks of fortune you have, when you reload, you can trigger the windfall state. And then when you're in windfall state, you trigger your action skill, and then you get all kinds of different bonuses. But we'll go over that in the skill tree. I'm using a triple bypass, just one that I had, nothing special, just so I could get my action skill back real fast when I was leveling up. I don't really use it so much anymore because when you're using the action skill with the cards, you can't throw grenades, you can't reach out and repel to things, you can't use a med kit. And I was thinking that might be rough when you take on that invincible boss, the Bloom there, because if you're flying off the edge, you're going to have to get out of your action skill really fast so that you can repel back and not fall off the edge and die. So I don't know how well this is going to be doing versus bossing, especially against that boss in particular. But you could just get out of your action skill, and the more charges you have, the faster that comes back anyway. So you can just get it back pretty quick anyway with this build, and I'll show you it. I'm just using this because it does a whole lot of damage, and it you can pull groups of people together. It doesn't mix; it like pushes them away and pulls them in, so they kind of float around. It's kind of weird, but then you can just shoot cards into the pile of mess there. I just got this because I've been doing bounties, especially with those vials, vial bounties there. When you open up the chests, you have a chance to get some legendary gear. I just got this and another one. This one here. And I'm using the other one because of the skills, which I'll show you momentarily. I'm using this because at first I felt squishy, so I was using this for damage reduction. But I'm assuming I'll end up doing like a Watts for dinner or trying out something else uh, once I really get this build going. Optimize it, I guess. And I'm just using this here because it has gun critical damage. I'm not really doing any splash damage, not using a Hyperion. It's just something I grabbed real quick. So there's a lot of things that could be changed to optimize this, like the perfect class mod, maybe a shield with Siphon on it, because where I just leveled everything up, Siphon might actually be really good, and I'll show you that here going into the skills. Let's start with the main skill tree here, using, of course, Luck of the Draw. That's what it does, in case you didn't know. And Cash has this little passive here. You get fortune stacks whenever you reload or activate your action skill. So if you just constant reload, you can get your 10 stacks. Sometimes it will trigger before you get the 10 stacks. It's kind of like a whatever. But if you do that and then activate your skill, you'll also get bonus cards because you only get a few cards when you actually use the skill. But when you get your fortune stacks up first and you trigger windfall, then you do it, you'll get bonus stacks because of some other skills here. And with the class mod I just got, you can keep that. If you're mobbing, you can keep the skill up pretty much indefinitely. But it doesn't matter. Even if I don't keep the skill up, I can get it back real quick. And hopefully during this demonstration, I'll show you, you'll see that all. But anyway, the skills I'm using is 5 out of 5 in alchemy here. So we get the element effects chance and yeah, more damage because the cards do elemental damage. So we're basically helping out our skill damage by doing that. I then went over here in 5 out of 5 and to go broke. So every time you get a fortune stack, um, you can have a chance to get more. And this boosts your fortune stacks up by 5. Um, and then I got 3 out of 5 here in Trick Taker because it boosts your elemental damage. I only got 3 there. Of course, you want this skill here to have another augment slot. As you can see, I got 4. I'll go over those in a second. Late Scratch. Every time you fail to enter Windfall, you gain a stack of fortune. That's why you're able to just reload, get a stack, reload, get a stack, and you just constantly building up stacks. It's actually pretty easy. Um, then over here, our fortune skills bonus are boost by 40%, 5 out of 5 in card sharp, which means as soon as we get into this skill, we can just throw a bunch of cards and it won't count against our charges. It's just another little bonus, and it'd be beneficial against bossing because against bossing, you are not going to be getting kills to keep the skill active. So as soon as we get in a boss fight and we have this going, we can just shoot a bunch of cards and it doesn't count, and we can hopefully destroy the boss before our action skill ends. But I haven't really done a lot of bossing with this. And then I got 5 out of 5 with Tender Hearts. It increased critical hit damage and uh, your action skill hit critical hit chance. And I get +1 from the class mod, and I got a +1 here from the class mod. So instead of 25%, I got 50% critical hit damage. Um, so that's, and it's a guaranteed critical hit, as you can read there. The next time you damage an enemy with a gun or action skill, after you gain a stack of fortune, automatic critical hit, and you got the bonus damage there. So you got a lot of burst damage. But with the class mod, I got, as you can see here, I got a bonus point there, bonus point there. I got a bonus point here, which is all right, I guess. You got a 3% chance to double your ordnance damage. Uh, I'm not really using that too much, but and 3% is not very likely, but you know, when it works, it works. I guess that's, you know, a little bonus. I'd rather that point, you know, maybe over here. That would be nice. I'm not sure where else this on this class mod you can get points, but this point, I mean, 4 out of 5 here is all from the class mod. I didn't put any points here on my own, and it's just a chance to critically hit with your guns and action skill and ordnance. The more fortune stacks you have, right? So it's 8% chance. So we got 8% with this with the uh, action skill plus 18% with the action skill, and you'll notice that we have some other bonuses as well. So we have a real good chance of hitting crits with our action skill. Now, with the red tree, I basically just did it so I can get this here, a bonus augment. So I went with 5 out of 5 here with critical hit damage, and then 5 out of 5 here for another bonus 10% chance to critically hit with action skills. It says and guns, but the main thing I wanted to focus on was action skill. So we got 10% there, 8% there, and 18% there. So we got 36% just from our skills here. Little bonuses here. And then in the green tree, this is where I just filled things out, so I'm not sure exactly how this is all going to work, but we'll find out here. 5 out of 5, Charm Bracelet, skill damage boost, and we don't use the totem, so the totem, we don't get that. We just get a bonus 15% skill damage because it's a skill. I'm basically using the action skill. That's what this whole build's about. Guns don't matter. Nades don't matter. It's action skill. And I thought it was better than, getting max health. And cooldown rate don't really need, because we can come out of our action skill, reload, and then sometimes we'll get, every time we get windfall, it resets the cooldown. So we come out of the skill, we reload our gun, because we just shoot, reload, boom, action skills back. Most of the time, we might have to do it a couple times, but it's back constantly. So the action skill cooldown not needed. Here, I don't know if that's 0 Fortuna or O Fortuna. I'm not sure. I'm assuming it's O. But we get bonus elemental damage and elemental effect chance and a better chance to jump into windfall. And as you see over here, we have a 3% per stack. So when it goes up to 10 stacks, we have a 30% chance to enter windfall. And this adds 2% to that per stack. So that's another 20%. So I don't know if that's already calculated into this, but it's like a 50% chance once we have full stacks. So it's almost it's a flip of a coin here. Now I wanted to spend 5 points to, at first I wasn't really thinking of getting down to the bottom, but when I was going through this, I figured I want 1 point here, so because I'll get 3% bonus fire damage, and I was like, wow, if I do a lot of damage, 3% of that bonus fire, I was like, that could be something. And then this one, every time you activate your action skill, you jinx an enemy. At first, it seems bad because the enemies do 30% more damage for 12 seconds, but they take 20% more damage, and it's like, ooh, that's rough, right? You take 30%, but you do 20% more. But there's something that kind of counters that. There's two things, actually, and I'll show you that momentarily. Of course, another argument, and I was going to put 4 points here because you get the windfall duration lasting a lot longer, right? I got it to 16%. I could get it to 32% longer. But when I noticed I had this next tree open, I was looking at some of the skills, and I was like, you know what? 1 point here could be very good. Turn to Fate, because with all the damage I'm doing, I heal, but if I have full health, I get overshield. And I was like, that could keep you up and going, right? So you're not squishy, which gives you options on what you can do for shields. So I could do a what's for dinner now. And I just put these last points in, so I'm not sure how well this will work. And I put a point over here because it counters this Jinx here. As you can see, this one, it gives you bonus lifesteal. I don't know if it will add to this where it goes to overshield. Like I said, I haven't found that out yet. It would be nice if it does, but at least this will help keep my life full, so when this one activates, this one's giving me overshield. And I'm not even using Siphon. So if I have a shield with Siphon on it, this could be pretty tanky, even though it's mainly focused on damage and skill damage. So if this is optimized, this could be a really kick-ass build. But you notice that this is different from this skill. At first I thought it was the same, but it says Jinx enemies do 30% less damage So it cancels out this where they do 20% bonus damage, right? This one nullifies it, so they actually are doing 10% less damage now when they're jinxed, right? And it says they take 20% more damage, and then here they take 20% more damage. So of course that means they're going to take bonus damage from action skills. So that's a 40% damage boost. When I activate my action skill next to people, they've already taken a lot of damage. I just put this final point in, so hopefully it works the way I think it's going to work. And we just got a bonus 40% damage, and we take 10% less damage from them for 12 seconds. And that's where specialization comes in. I just put this final point in here to get this because I wanted to be a little more tanky. But hopefully soon I'll get 10 more points, and I'll actually do this where I can keep the Siphon Shield up, and I'll just do 30% more damage. That's my goal, but until then I'm going to use this one here, a little more tanky. And basically went over here to focus on action skill, right? Because we get action skill damage and cooldown rate. The cooldown rate don't really matter too much, but getting this to 20, we get 15% skill damage. I was using this, of course, with the triple bypass. I don't even really need that, so I could remove that and go to this when I get there, so I can use both these skills if I want, or I can keep it there and just have another way to get my action skill back, just in case it's needed during bossing. But of course, I'm a gun. Any gun damage boosts I get, which some of those skills boost gun damage and action skill damage, 50% of that goes to the action skill. And of course, this one increase the critical hit chance and critical hit damage of your action skill. So I got about a 41% chance critical hit, I think, added this to what I already got. It's about 40%, a little more, to get a critical hit, and then a bonus 50% critical hit damage. And when I've been doing the Vile bounties, I've just been melting them for the most part. Just very easy using the cards, killing everything. I've took on some bosses, but mainly some mini bosses here and there. You know, when you do the rift, when I'm driving through doing the bounties and I come across one of those rifts, I'll go and fight the rift champ, and been able to shoot through those guys with the cards. And I'm going to do I think I'm at a drill site right here. We're going to check that out and show that to you. I think that's everything for the skills and everything to show you, right? Yeah, I showed you the inventory, not really using anything. I'm not sure what I got here. Replicate healing by 10%, that doesn't really help. Damage reduction, oh, that actually helps. Didn't know I had that on. Splash damage radius, plus 20%. That's actually not bad. I don't know if that helps out with my action skill, because there's a lot of splashing going on. So maybe having 2 points in that might be really beneficial. I'm going to have to mess around to see which of these to put on my gear, because I want something to boost the action skill. I don't need like anything to penetrate. I don't need a lot of different things. But yeah, let's do this. Hopefully I don't embarrass myself here. But yeah, you see how I already have 10 stacks? You see that where it has my armor and health, you'll see there's a clover with 10. I already got 10 stacks of fortune. So next time I reload this gun, I'm probably going to enter into Windfall. You'll see it be kind of like a terror look from Borderlands 3 around the screen. And then I'll activate my action skill, and I'll have a boatload of charges. And now with my new class mod, I can just keep this up while mobbing. Bossing might be a little bit different, but yeah, this is not even optimized yet. So let's just do this here. There we go. Took 2 shots, but that acid one kicks ass, and I forgot to do something. I forgot to show you the augments, what they do. The ones that I'm using here. I am sorry about that. But we have this one here, Cowboy. This card here, this acid one, sprays out very far, so you can take out a huge mob, and it does a boatload of damage. Right? It says additional 4. I don't know why it just say 7 projectiles, but it spreads out. It's a good one, and I recommend you use this. Oh yeah, this is the skill you also need after you reload the gun, you have a chance to recharge your action skill because you have a stack of fortune every time you reload. This one I've been messing with. I'm not sure if I should use this one, but this one is pretty good because you can instantly kill some of the little mobs and you do a lot of damage to the badass mobs. It's just a bet on red, and it gives you a little bit of lifesteal. Right? You see how you get a bonus to this. You get damage reduction up to 30%. Right? You get the vampiric touch where you're getting lifesteal. 50% of the damage anyway. Boost your critical hit by 75%. Right? So you can do a boatload of damage with that. Sweeten the pot here. You get additional charges when you activate your action skill here. And this card is random. You'll see it kind of like changing colors, kind of like it's a pearlescent kind of thing. And sometimes you shoot it out and you'll freeze an enemy. Sometimes it's something else. But it's a very useful card to have. This one here. This is where you get the bonus charges. The more stacks of windfall you have. You notice I probably have around 15 cards that I can shoot out. If you look at my action skill right near the cooldown, you'll see that. And this bouncing element is actually pretty strong. There's times where I've used it and just watched it kill a bunch of enemies without me doing anything else. But those are the augments. I haven't really used this one, but I have used this one. This one is awesome. It like insta freezes. Even badasses, vile enemies, you hit them with this, and they just freeze. And then you can just unload on them. Very useful. But I took the points out of here because I wanted to make sure I can keep the action skill up and get the bonuses for that. But you could potentially build differently to come down here to get that. You restore a portion of your health. Add the overshield. This could help keep your overshield up, keep your health up instead of going down this tree. I mean, we got a lot of points here. You don't have to come down here. Your guns deal bonus damage. You're not using guns. Fire rate, reload speed does not matter. But the skill damage boost, that could be useful. Gun damage, whatever. Reload speed doesn't matter. Not too much anyway. So you could put the 5 points here, 5 points here, and then you could use this skill instead of over here. And we don't need that skill there. I just think it's more beneficial over here, all the crit damage. But let's do this here. Yeah, bad place to pause it here. See that down the throws. See people on the radar. Oh, they're short behind the rock. Some of these cards will home in. Some of them blow up after a certain amount of time. for the most part, what I've seen, they haven't really do like self-damage. Like you can't kill yourself with them. But that was a guy who was alive. Absorb. What the heck is going on here? Wow, that was my most damaging card. He just absorbed it. You notice here, boom, already got it back. Sometimes when I lose my action skill, that's when I'll take time to like heal up. Alright, now we get to see how it works on these guys. Looks like it kind of rough with the bossing. Maybe I use a different class mod for bossing. I mean, it's not bad. You notice how it went to my gun there? I noticed when you're climbing or jumping on certain things, it'll come out of your action skill for a second. You notice the action skill is up pretty much constantly. Even when it goes down, it's right back up. You can watch this one bounce around. That was one of the one that homes in. Right there. Random element. See, when I was climbing up, it switched to the gun. I noticed that it does that, so you gotta be careful with that. And then each card you have lowers down your cooldown rate. So that was that. It was just a demonstration. It's not even optimized. Now with bossing, it looks like it's a little rough. But maybe when I optimize this, get the best gear that I can for it, it would be better. Maybe using a different class mod. I heard there's some pretty good ones for him. But I felt like using this one because it was one that I actually got. And it actually fits the action skill that I'm using. And for mobbing, you should just mow through everything, as you can see. Yeah, that is that. Thank you for your time and attention. And it would be wrong of me not to mention that, hey, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. And we can see that if you read the scriptures, things are lining up with prophecy. Now, I know you're watching this stuff for entertainment to escape things, but you got to know about these things because you never know when your time's up. And your time up could be up today, and you could face judgment and meet your maker. And we are all found wanting. We all don't deserve heaven. We all deserve hell because we sit here and we waste our time playing games like this when there's a lot of things that could be done to help others. You know, I'm not condemning you for playing the game that I'm playing here too, but it's just an example of how we could be so much better. And we don't meet the standard that God has. And the only way we can make sure that we are saved is to just trust in God and His love for us, that He is willing to take on our condemnation and death and hell for us. That if we put our faith in Him and not thinking that we're good enough or it doesn't matter, you know, where we judge things by our own standard that we're good enough, that's not how it works. You know, we don't sit here and judge ourselves because we would all say that we shouldn't go to hell. But that's just not the case. the way things are going, it's gonna get bad. And if you don't have God in your life, it's gonna be rough, because you need faith. Because if you're not saved now, there's going to be a crazy event happening here before you know it, where the true believers are taken. It might be something you laugh at now, but when it happens and you remember that weirdo who played the game told you this, when the true believers are taken, shit is going to hit the fan, and it's not going to be fun. And at that point, if you're not trusting in God, you're going to be in for it, because you're not going to be able to do anything on your own without God, unless you give in to the system that's coming. And you've all heard of the mark of the beast. I know you have. But it's one of those things you got to deal with, and deal with now, because it may be too late if you wait. But anyway, thank you for your time and attention. Thank you for checking out my video. Take care. Hope you have some fun with this, and I'll see you in the next one.